fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
It's the second half of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series, Round 4, coming from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna, Seca. 2 races of wild action around this racetrack situated in the Californian desert landscape, curiously not actually located in the desert. This championship is shaping up to be an absolute grandstand finish. What twists and turns will we see in that battle today? Let's find out live on Simspeed TV. My name is Ryan Jones, alongside me is Cameron Dance. Jay Kennedy is behind the scenes. And I think most of the iRacing service knows this track like the back of their hand by this stage, Cam. But nonetheless, still plenty opportunity for someone to make a mistake out there today. We've lost Cam. Alright. So, let's take a look at the championship standings before we get into qualifying for this one. It's a pretty close championship. Just 3 points separating Thomas Hinds from Scotty McQueen, 7 points back to Dominus Ferraris, 16 points back to Jackson Susan Harlow and Bailey Sweeney. Harlow was the 4th man in practice for this one, so still a chance for him in that championship fight. And the rest of the top 10 looking pretty congested too. Mitch Martin, Reese Gardner, Ryan Jarrett, all within 9 points of 4th. Dean Ross and Jacob Knight just lurking too if anyone slips up today or in the final 2 rounds at Bathurst and Phillip Island. Teams Championship is also looking pretty close at the top between Prologue Rack Esports and Eclipse Sim Sports, just 19 points between them. And then it's dead even, 125 points back for KR off the driver's seat and Chicken Up Racing. So still a lot to play for championship-wise in this one, Cam.
Yeah, it most certainly is. It's a very close championship, and like I mentioned before, the points difference between each position isn't actually that big either. So it's really all about making sure you can score points on a consistent basis, because you never know what's going to happen to your competition at any point in the championship. So the more mistakes that they make, the better off you're going to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, certainly. And today, or right now, this is all about not making mistakes. As soon as you do, you find yourself out in the dirt and the dust, and there's no grip out there. There's no asphalt runoff at this track, which makes it a very tough track. No matter how much you have raced here, as many of us have raced here, plenty and plenty of times. It's one of the free tracks of the service, of course. So right from day one, we get to let loose around this Laguna Seca circuit. Thomas Hinds in qualifying then is making his way around into turn number 4 and towards the King turn 5. Currently fastest in qualifying is Jackson Susan Harlow, 1 minute 30.802, 1,000th of a second quicker than Dominic Ferraris.
Yeah, it's very, very close at the moment, and like we've said, most if not all these drivers know this track pretty well, having experienced it at some point in their rookie career of iRacing. So it's no surprise that it's actually that close, and even closer with a very, very close time at the moment between Harlow and Ferraris, with literally 1,000th of a second.
There's not much in it indeed, and Reese Garner props up into 5th place. That's a pretty good effort from him for his first lap. 3 laps once again today, as we've had in the last 2 rounds. Thomas Hinds is going to come across the line. Any time will put him up the grid, and he doesn't get a time, so he stays all the way down in the back half of the field. So he's found it off track somewhere on that opening lap of his. Right, Jackson Harlow, he's going to be coming around to complete his 2nd lap in just a moment's time, making his way into the final corner now. He's got to beat a 1 minute 30.802 to improve his margin and maybe feel a bit more safe compared to Dominic Ferraris behind him. What's it going to be when he comes across the line? It's a 1 minute 30 flat. A huge improvement. Bailey Sweeney goes to 2nd with a 1 minute 30.136. And where is Dominic Ferraris coming across the line? 1 minute 30.225. So Harlow suddenly has almost a 10th on the field.
Yeah, he's managed to put in a very, very solid lap there, has Harlow actually, with that second lap. So really, really good to see that he's come back out strong after what wasn't that good of a round last time out at Okayama, ending up being involved in an incident with Dominic Ferraris as well. So we'll see whether those two can stay away from each other, or whether we may see a repeat of last week.
That was one of the biggest improvements we've seen from lap 1 to lap 2 for the whole field, really. All season long, we've actually seen most of the 3 laps be pretty similar on time with a small improvement, but 0.8 of a second, that's absolutely massive. Any reason for that, Cam?
Could be down to tyre temp, could be possibly the way that they've warmed their tires up. It could be anything really. It could just be the fact that they've managed to put it in the banker and then go absolutely hard out in the second one. Who knows? It's just one of those things that it's really really interesting about the V7 time model is that there's so many different variables between what makes a good lap and what makes a terrible lap at the end of the day.
Jackson Harlow is completing his final lap of qualifying, improves again, 129.9 from him. So he goes even further clear up front. Bailey Sweeney wasn't able to improve in his final lap. Dominic Ferraris is coming into the final corner now and heading into pit lane, so his qualifying session is done. Scott T. McQueen puts himself up into 4th. Mitch Dean goes to 5th and gets immediately put back to 7th as Nathan Anderson improves, and as does Ryan Jarek.
Yeah, it's everybody's starting to put in some very solid second laps now, and field's starting to be a bit more mixed up by the looks of it. A couple of drivers still moving up the order, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe we might see another unexpected change of positions.
A number of drivers haven't set a lap time yet. Matthew Spencer, Cruz McVee, Jacob Knight, Darren Whittington, who actually is not going to be racing today. Copying a race ban for leaving the server early after being given a penalty. Last round, Will Chen and Benjamin Dahlia also yet to set a lap time. Dahlia's done 3 laps, hasn't managed to get a representative lap in on any of them. In fact, he's on his 3rd lap now, so we'll see whether he can get it done as he makes his way through the Andretti hairpin. Jacob Knight is coming through his final corner of his final attempt now. Can he improve? Well, you'd hope so. He hasn't got a lap time yet. Can he find any lap time?
Yeah, he's going to come across the line, 30.7. That puts him straight into P11. So not too bad, and just a little bit off Reese Garner in P10 as well. So he's not too far off the top 10, but compared to the pole time of a 29.9, it's a little bit of time to find.
It is just a bit of time that he has to find out there. There's been no change elsewhere in the field. New liveries too for the Markowski Motorsport machines. Jason Markowski and Lenny Nobili both sporting brand new liveries on their MMS esports cars and looking pretty good. Almost giving the chicken up livery from last week a run.
Yeah, it's actually not too bad of a standout livery. The green and red actually complement each other quite well. It's a very, very fascinating how those sort of combos seem to work, sort of like blue and orange or blue and yellow, and those sort of weird and wonderful color combinations, which do seem to work quite well. It's really, really good to see, and I definitely won't miss that car, that's for sure, with the bright green.
No, certainly won't. That's everyone done and dusted here at a dusty Laguna Seca for qualifying, and it is pole position to Jackson Susan Harlow by a little over 0.2 of a second. Back to Bailey Sweeney in 2nd. Dominic Ferraris lines up on the inside of the 2nd row ahead of Scotty McQueen in 4th. Thomas Hins, championship leader, starts from 5th. Ryan Jarek is 6th ahead of Martin Turner. Nathan Anderson and Mitch Dean is lining up 8th and 9th ahead of Reese Gardner there in 10th.
Just behind them on row 6 will be Jake Knight and Dean Ross, followed by Daniel Towell and Hamish Cleland. And we go back to just outside the top 5th, well, just inside the top 15, Mitch Mann, and then Jason Markowski in 16th, 17th and 18th, Ashley Norman and Tommy Saunter-Chan, followed by Hayden Veld and Lenny Neal-Billy, rounding out the top 20.
Starting from 21st will be Sam Ross. Rob Carmichael starts alongside him. 12th over the grid is David Leslie and Bruce Ross. Thomas Cool starts 25th ahead of Cameron Cousins in 26th. R. Felberg, Martin Houston, 27th and 28th. Matthew Spencer from 29th. Cruz McVie, Will Chen rounding out the rest of the field ahead of Benjamin Dahlia as well. And thank you to our sponsors for this series, Simfinity and RMS Race Management Service, for their continued support of the league, and R. Felberg for his hard work behind the scenes as well. Last thoughts before we get this on underway.
Gonna be probably a wide start into turn one. Probably gonna see 3 wide, maybe 4 wide. But it's yeah, we might see what happened in just then. Who knows? It's gonna be really interesting to see what this first lap does, and who might end up copying some slowdowns as well, possibly from just cutting the corkscrew a little bit too much.
Yes, that corkscrew, that famous corner we all know from this racetrack, as we are in the gridding process here. The track conditions, 26 degrees, another relatively grippy track out there for these drivers. Not too much wind for them to contend with. Of course, this is race 1 of 2 for this evening. Just 10 minutes in length, a short sprint race of approximately 7 laps. And then once this one's complete, we'll reset them all, go out for a 10-minute qualifying session again, and then a 20-minute feature race featuring a mandatory pit stop. But none of that is on the minds of these drivers right now. It's all about the launch off the line right here, right now, for race 1, round 4. Jackson Harlow, it's getting crucial for him in terms of championship. Needs a good result today. Scotty McQueen, Thomas Hins, 2 main championship rivals, separated by 3 points, starting from 4th and 5th on the grid as the last of the drivers grid up. And we await that green flag now, any second now, as the green flag is gonna fly, and we're racing here at Laguna Seca, and a good start for Harlow. Dominic Ferraris is going to pull alongside of his teammate Bailey Sweeney here immediately into turn 1 they go. Scotty McQueen comes down to cover the inside, and Bailey Sweeney getting very defensive on the entry to turn 1. It looks as though most of the field's going to get through there relatively cleanly, and they do. So a very good start there as they make their way now into turn number 3. And the lead is Jackson Harlow from Dominic Ferraris. Bailey Sweeney slots into 3rd place there to Scotty McQueen and Thomas Hins in 5th.
Yeah, everybody's had a pretty clean start except for Mitch Dean, who seems to have made contact with, I believe that was the number 19 car of Hamish Cleland heading into turn 3, unfortunately. So he ended up in the tyre wall. Not a lot of grip out there either in the gravel, so he'll have a bit of a hard time, but nevertheless, he'll be trying to at least recover and score some points.
Look at McQueen.
Meantime,
look at Scotty McQueen trying to go round the outside at the corkscrew of Bailey Sweeney, deep on the brakes. Can he pull it off? No, he can't. Just loses the...
Yeah, certainly all going
Ferraris.
on for 3rd and 4th.
Ferraris
having a bit of moment.
And Ferraris has got a massive slowdown through the corkscrew. You don't want to get one of those on the first lap of the race. It bites you hard. And he goes all the way back to the fringes of the top 10 now. Slots in behind Nathan Anderson. And in front of Dean Ross, who's watching Jacob Knight and Mitch Martin go side by side in his rear view mirror down the main straight on the approach to turns 1 and 2 there. Andretti hairpin. And that releases Bailey Sweeney, in fact, into 2nd place. And the battle between himself, Scotty McQueen, will rage on as Jackson Harlow's got a 2-second lead after just 1 lap of racing.
Yeah, he's got a lot of pace this week by the looks of it, and with Ferraris obviously dropping back, that's caused a big gap as well back to Bailey Sweeney, who's got Scotty McQueen all over the back end of him, and would not be surprised if McQueen tries to do it around the outside at the corkscrew again. He's really strong at the brakes as well, so you expect him to move it at some point.
Ryan Jarrett just got up the inside of Martin Turner to take 5th place away in through turn number 4. So he moves himself up now behind Thomas Hins, who's still watching McQueen, and Sweeney. Reese Gardner is the next man to try and have a look at Martin Turner into the corkscrew. And Sunta Chun has had an issue. He is off the track at that looks like turn number 6. And it is. He's on the outside there. We'll get a replay up on screen of what's happened to him
Yeah, just coming up to the kink before the corkscrew. Oh, contact with Jacob Knight by the looks of him, hard into the wall. That's a pretty solid hit straight into the concrete. And then there's just been cars going everywhere to try and avoid what's been happening there, unfortunately. So, yeah, all sorts going on down that middle pack. And they even had a bit of a tussle up down there on the first lap. But for the most part, everybody seems to be okay.
In live pictures, Scotty McQueen had a big lunge at Bailey Sweeney at the final corner. Overran the corner by quite a bit, lost out to Thomas Hinds on the main straight as a result, so he's actually lost a spot from his aggressiveness there. Will have to try and regather himself. Doesn't want to be finishing behind Thomas Hinds with how close that battle is between them in this championship fight. The lead for Harlow, 2.1 seconds, despite all that battling, only finding a 10th on that lap. And in fact, we're almost halfway in this race.
Yeah, it's been a very, very quick race actually so far. Even though it's a short track, but the moment Reese Garner coming under pressure from Martin Turner as they head up towards the kink. Turner's got to be trying to back out of it as Reese manages to gain a position, but ends up running off, and that's straight into the dirt.
Yeah, Reese was attacking Martin Turner there, and unfortunately just missed out sealing the deal with that wide line through turn 6. Almost got into the back of Turner there on the approach to the corkscrew. He's got to be careful of Nathan Anderson and Dominic Ferraris now behind him too. Ferraris, we know, has pace. Made that mistake from second on the first lap, and I think Reese might be under a bit more pressure this time by as Ferraris lunges up the inside of Nathan Anderson. Just enough racing room given, but Anderson's going to have that better run down the main straight and will hold him off for at least another corner, but Ferraris is looking to try and get back some lost ground.
Most certainly is. That first lap slowdown really has hurt him a lot and won't be helping his championship, although neither did last week. So he'll really be trying to recover some points here after that slowdown. And hopefully from what he have, as Jake Knight has had a moment, has nearly actually did make contact with Nobilly there into turn 1. Big contact actually as well. It wasn't a small hit.
Yeah, lucky to get away with that one, actually. Just wheel-to-wheel contact between the pair of them in the braking zone. And so Nobilly goes by Jacob Knight in that little exchange. And Knight will have to try and recover. He's lost 3 spots off the start. Rob Carmichael's come up 10 spots in this field, so he's had an absolute cracking couple of laps out there. Currently running out in 12th place as Dominic Ferraris is getting right up onto the back of Nathan Anderson again through the corkscrew, trying to set up a move as he tries to look for a better run here through turns 10 or through turn 9 and into turn 10 and 11, the final corner. Maybe a look up the inside will be best for him. Maybe try and set up the exit to get a run down the main straight and up the inside at turn 1. Don't think he's close enough here. He's got to get that exit, doesn't he, Cam, to get that move done at the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, he most certainly does, although it doesn't look like he's got that good of a run out of the final corner either, so really not going to be able to get the job done, but we've got a replay up on the screen at this time of Hamish Cullen.
This looks like it's at the top of the hill. Hamish Cleland there, making his way through the corkscrew side by side, and just collected by what I think was a Chicken Up racing machine. It was Ashley Norman, and I think Ashley looking to possibly redress that, going quite slowly there immediately after that incident, so he'll be very unhappy about how that one unfolded. As Scotty McQueen's coming under a bit of pressure here from Ryan Jarek. And he's actually off the track. And Jarek will probably slice through here on the inside. He'll lose another spot. Will McQueen, and not the race that he was looking to have. He goes back to 6th place. He goes back to 5th place now.
Yeah, he's dropped a few positions, has McQueen, in this last portion of the race. He's actually lost 1 position from where he started, so he's not lost out too much, but considering where he was in a few laps ago, he's really not having a good time, but battle's still raging on at the moment for this battle just inside the top 10 between Ferraris and Anderson, and Ferraris still struggling to get on by, and then just ahead there's also a small battle going on between Reese Gardner and Martin Turner as well.
Here we go, up the inside, Dominic Ferraris late on the brakes behind them as well. Dean Ross coming under pressure for Mitch Martin. They beat and bang their way out of the final corner. It's a bit cleaner between Ferraris and Anderson though. A drag race down to turn 1. Ferraris with the preferred line, but he loses the overlap. Has to tuck in behind. Does Anderson go defensive? He doesn't. He sits that car in the middle of the racetrack and holds the spot. Great driving from him as he cops a whack from Ferraris in the middle of turn 2. Mitch Martin behind got his way by Dean Ross as well.
Yeah, he managed to just hold on to that position after looking like he nearly would have lost it, did Mitch Martin, but managed to do a pretty good move back up the inside as McQueen is going to be all over the back end of Ryan Jarrett here for the final spot, just outside the podium spot. Going to set it up the inside, but probably not quite going to have the exit, which is going to compromise him up towards the kink, and will let Ryan Jarrett go.
Trying to recover from that mistake he made at that corner last time by not going to find the recovery there. 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock as Nathan Anderson is going slowly and he's losing out there to not only Dominic Ferraris but Mitch Martin and potentially Dean Ross as well, who just got trapped behind him on the entry to the corkscrew. I suspect he's probably got a slowdown because he's got that thing back up to racing speed now, but that undoes all of his hard work in defending off Ferraris. Loses out to Martin as well, and we get the white flag. So this is the final lap of the sprint race. The lead for Jackson Harlow, 3.1 seconds. There's an almighty battle going on for 5th place now as Jarrett's been caught by not only McQueen, but Reese Gardner and Martin Turner are pretty much there as well.
Yes, 4-way battle for this top 5 positions is really all going on in this final lap. And just also want to mention that Anderson did actually end up being passed by Ferraris with a little bit of contact for good measure. So that's why he did end up losing out in the end. But nevertheless, is not too far behind. But this battle for the top 5 really all going off.
It is. It's going to be a last lap ditch effort here for Scotty McQueen if he tries a move. If he can get close enough in front of them. Thomas Hins is trying to get close to Bailey Sweeney as well. I don't think he's quite going to do it. Scotty McQueen closed up a lot through turn 5 there. And heading into turn 6, the kink, you can't make a move, but you can really set one up at the corkscrew if you get through here nicely. It was very nice for Ryan Jarrett. And pulls out a car length to Scotty McQueen on the run into the corkscrew. Last time through this incredible 5-story drop. They make their way through there nice and clean. Just one opportunity remains as out front, Jackson Harlow is going to make his way through the final corner. And he will lead lights to flag here at Laguna Seca. He'll take out the sprint race. And we'll go back to the battle for P4 as McQueen dives up the inside of Ryan Jarrett. Can't quite get there. And now the run for Martin Turner. Defensive from Scotty McQueen. Turner has to go to the outside. Can't quite get there. McQueen just holds on to P5. And Turner has to settle for 6.
Yeah, didn't quite have it in the end. And there's a battle just behind and further down the pack. And Tell really throwing it up the inside, but not quite able to get the job done in the end. So he'll have to settle for, I believe that is 17th position.
The last of the drivers coming across the line now. Jason Markowski and Tommy Sonta-Chin and Welchan as well. Oh, and Martin Houston and Cameron Cousins. The list goes on. 27 cars will finish this race. We had a couple of retirements through all of that, a couple of which I think we might have missed. Matthew Spencer, a lap down, will come across the line in 28th. Let's go through the unofficial results here of the race 1 of round 4. Jackson Harlow, he won by 3.3 seconds in the end. Bailey Sweeney had to settle for 2nd, exactly where he started. Thomas Hins came up 2 spots to finish in 3rd, ahead of Ryan Jarrett, who also gained 2 spots to come home in 4th. McQueen lost a spot, finishing in 5th. Martin Turner almost had it, but he comes home in 6th. Reese Gardner gained 3 to come up to 7th. Dominic Ferraris was 8th. Mitch Martin gained 6 spots up into 9th, and Nathan Anderson rounded out that top 10.
Then we go back to Dean Ross and Jacob 9th and 11th and 12th. Lenny Novelli in 13th, followed up by Benjamin Alia in 14th. 15th, Sam Ross, and at Daniel Tell in 16th, and Ashley Norman 17th. Bruce Ross 18th, Rob Carmichael 19th, and rounding out the top 20 will be Ira Felberg.
21st was Jason Markowski, Thomas Sonta-Chin coming home in 22nd, Will Chen 23rd, Martin Houston 24th, ahead of Cameron Cousins, David Leslie, and Mitch Dean. First car lap down was Matthew Spencer, and then retirements from Hamish Cleland, Thomas Cool, Hayden Veld, and they were your last drivers to come across the field belt, the last driver in that race in 31st. And another brilliant sprint race in the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series. And yet another, this time we've got a couple people who want to come up and have a little chat to us. So let's just drag in Jackson, Susan, Harlow. It's looking a bit better for you this week than it did this time last week. Congratulations, you got the sprint race win. Looking forward to the feature.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a lot better than last week. Last week was a disaster. So yeah, really looking forward to next week. Next race, and yeah, we'll try and go for 2 for 2.
How's the track feeling out there? Is it slippery? You got a lot of grip, or are you just comfortable?
I'm just comfortable. I was trying just to, I don't know, hit my marks and not pushing too hard in that race. Like there was really no need. The goal was just to get a buffer and then yeah, just cruise. So that worked out well. Got a good first lap and then yeah, was able just to go 90% for the rest of the race and yeah, got it done.
Congratulations on that race win. Hopefully we're talking to you again in about half an hour's time after the feature. Good luck for that one.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And Cam, you want to ask Mr. Thomas Hinds a couple questions?
Well, we can do if you want.
There we go. Thomas Hinds, Cameron Dance is standing by.
Well, Hinsey, it was a little bit of a quiet one for you, but you managed to put it on the podium regardless. So pretty solid points haul for you in that one.
Yeah, it was good. It's good just to be towards the point end again after last round kind of being sort of meh, being at the back end of the 10. The pace was there last round in the end. I noticed my times were getting there, just took too long, I suppose. I didn't qualify well enough. But yeah, it was good to get good qualifying. I was a bit worried in practice, kind of sitting 8th, 9th, thereabouts, like, oh, here we go, it's going to be another round of struggling, but thankfully pulled lap out in qualifying, so that was good, got a good start. And yeah, it was good battling with Scott and Bailey there. Managed to get by Scott, which is key for me in the championship, because we're kind of battling for it, so it was good to get by him. And I was trying to get Bailey, but yeah, we're just too closely matched. But yeah, no, it was good fun, just so pretty quiet really, apart from getting the pass on Scott and a decent start, but yeah, good to get a good points haul, and hopefully can carry it on through race 2.
Well, certainly that longer race 2 is going to be quite interesting. What sort of, well, it's probably I'm not going to get the right answer, but regardless, are you probably looking at sort of what sort of strategy you're looking at? Are you probably going to be doing an early stop, or are you going to be going for a later stop to try and overcut everyone?
I'm actually not sure. I think I'm just, as per usual with me, I'm just going to play it by ear and see how it goes. Probably earlier would be what I'd prefer, but we'll see. Depending on where I am, what traffic's around, all that sort of stuff, I might extend it. So yeah, we'll see how we go there.
Right. Well, best of luck for race 2. And before you let you go, just any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, real quick, just to the driver's seat, Zuva, all the other sponsors we have on the car. Big thanks to them for the support, and for you guys for the broadcast as well, and obviously our.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Thomason's P3. Let's go to race 2 then, Ryan.
Yep, let's go to race 2. Before that, let's have a little quick ad break, because I want to drink. Little bit of a break, and we'll come back ready for qualifying for race 2 here at Laguna Seca.
iRacing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top
Oh
here.
my God! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to qualifying for race 2. Not just qualifying yet, just to practice, warm up to get everyone into the server. Then we'll roll in to our 10-minute qualifying session. Still Ryan Jones with Cameron Dance and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. And this should be a very intriguing race. We were just talking in that little break about how we thought the strategy might play out, and we can't really give you a solid prediction of what might happen, can we?
No, it's a weird track, this one, because it's not short, but it's not necessarily long either. It's one of those ones that are in between, and you kind of looking at it going, traffic's probably not the thing you want to be in, but at the same time, nor is clean either to some extent.
Yeah, well, we talked last week with a number of drivers after the race,
clear,
and
mate, the only reason why I exited the race
I forget which one it was, but they were definitely telling us that they didn't see an advantage to going long, but nonetheless, some of the drivers that finished in the top 5 pitted on basically the penultimate lap of the race. There were other drivers that pitted on the first lap of the race. There's a window of an entire 20-minute race that we could possibly see drivers dive down into pit lane. And in terms of proportion of window size to race length, it's about as big as it gets.
Yeah, it actually is. It's yeah, it's a lot. It's a big window, but at the same time, it's also not. It's really a short race in general. Like 20 minutes is a sprint race by like any standard. I mean, you're talking when you look at stuff like IMSA, when you look at stuff like supercars, it's all a lot longer and more close to an hour, 30 minutes, that sort of stuff. So it is still a short race, but even then, it's really a little bit of a longer race than what we've just done, which was 10 minutes and an absolute sprint to the finish. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who pits when, whether we might see the same strategy like we saw last week of drivers pitting on that last lap, or maybe even on the first lap. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Should be intriguing indeed. Maybe we'll see a shake-up here in qualifying, which has just gotten underway. Drivers have to make their way out onto track, get the tyres up to optimal operating temperature, and then try and fire in some blistering lap times. The intriguing thing about having a second qualifying session right after the race is that a lot of drivers that we've mentioned this before, a lot of drivers that could potentially take a little bit of a time to warm up while they're racing might find themselves qualifying better in this second race. Someone like Jackson Harlow will probably qualify about the same. It's possible that someone could jump up and surprise the likes of Harlow, McQueen, and Hins. Maybe we'll see a new face at the top.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a interesting mix of qualifying positions, chopping and changing. Well, drivers chopping and changing qualifying positions through both of the races throughout the season so far, and it's really been interesting to see the mix up with just the fact that there's another chance to possibly screw up or another chance to get it right. So, yeah, I'm going to be intrigued to see who might be able to conquer Harlow's lap in that previous session and who might end up putting it on pole. We might see Ferraris pop a good one out this time. We might see McQueen pop a good one out. Who knows? It's really a mixed result, this one.
It certainly is, and we're just waiting for someone to get around to that start-finish line. There's a lot of drivers spending a lot of time weaving across this track, trying everything they can to get some temperature into the tyres. The first driver to actually start his flying lap is Will Chen, and RFLberg will come across just behind him. Why don't we actually watch Will Chen, give him a little bit of exposure, give that livery a bit of exposure on the broadcast. It's actually a pretty good livery, that one. He's gotten off track, unfortunately, so it won't count, but nonetheless, sporting a nice bright livery there.
Yeah, it is quite a bright livery, does Will Chen, but we're going to jump on to Mitch Martin for the time being. Just coming up the hill towards the kink now before the corkscrew. You can just see the sort of commitment. It's down one gear, throw it in, and just sort of mash the throttle and pray you don't end up off the road, which we've seen on a few occasions in the last race. As he gets up the hill towards the corkscrew. A little bit of compression lock there from what I could see, but managed to have a pretty solid run for the corkscrew.
Yeah, it's just needs to finish it off with these final couple of corners now. taking a very conservative line through that one and then into the penultimate corner using a lot of the inside curb, bouncing over that sausage curb. Managed to keep it on track though, and just has to keep it within the boundaries through the final corner on to the start-finish line. Should be the first driver here to put a marker down. What's the time to beat here in qualifying number 2? It's a 1 minute 30.882. Actually on par with what Jackson Harlow did on lap 1 of the first qualifying session. So that might stand up pretty well on this first lap as Ryan Jarrett comes across the 131.5.
Yeah, the two Eclipse cars at the top, and just as we say that, the Prologue Esports of Dominic Ferraris goes straight to the top. Not by a lot, though. So, looking relatively close for these first few laps. Nathan Anderson putting himself into P4, Martin Houston into P7, and you're starting to see a flurry of times starting to appear on the board. Mitch Dean with a 131.3 to go into 4th.
We'll go look at Bailey Sweeney as he makes his way around the track, just heading towards the kink, or just heading up towards the start-finish line, in fact, and he goes to P1 by 600ths of a second. Not by much, but margins can be very, very small in sim racing. Dominic Ferraris there sits in second, just ahead of Mitch Martin, who his time has held up pretty well. Still in third, ahead of Thomas Hins in fourth. Scotty McQueen's fifth. Where's Jackson Harlow? Hasn't set a lap time yet.
On his first flying lap now. He's just coming through the final section, actually, the second last turn, and towards the final corner. It'll be interesting to see what the time is for Harlow this time by. I did see he was warming the tyres up quite aggressively on his outlap as well. So there'll be plenty of heat in the rubber for his tyres, and he comes across the line. Mitch Martin goes to the top, but so does Harlow with a 29.9.
That's a very good lap time from him. He actually invalidated his first lap with an off-track. That was his second attempt. Mitch Martin puts himself second then. Ryan Jarrett only third with 1 minute 30.5. Tins only fourth, 1 minute 30.6. Ahead of Ferraris in fifth. Mitch Martin is that man who in the second qualifying session is putting himself up and amongst the quickest guys from the first one.
Yeah, he looked to have some pretty alright pace in that first race, so definitely be hoping to get another solid result in this one, and if not, go better with currently sitting P2 as Scotty McQueen goes straight to the top of the 29.8.
That is a very, very good lap there for Scotty McQueen, and suddenly he's a driver to beat. That was a good second lap for him, so he's still got one more attempt to improve, as does everyone else. Let's go have a look at Rob Carmichael, yet to set a lap time, heading into the final corner now. He's currently on his second lap, so like Harlow, invalidated on the first lap. Can he go to pole like Harlow did with his second lap? Or will he be somewhere up in the top 10? Goes to 19th, so pretty good lap for him there. Puts himself inside the top 20. And he'll probably be happy with that one, just to get a banker lap in. As Jackson, Suzlin, Harlow coming through to complete another fastest lap and goes quickest once again.
He certainly does, but McQueen is on his final flying lap, and so is Bailey Sweeney. It'll be interesting to see what we'll see from them as Dominic Ferraris finishes his run and ends up P3 with a 30.0. But McQueen and Sweeney are the big questions in the soup. It's going to be really all about what these two can do as McQueen coming through the final corner. And does look like it was a pretty solid exit as well out of the final corner. His best is a 29.8. Is he going to go quicker? No, he doesn't. He actually bails out of it.
So no improvement from him. He'll start, at best, second on the grid. Can Bailey Sweeney be a spoiler in this battle? No, he can't. 30.281 improves, but stays in fifth. Mitch Martin has gone back to sixth place now. And it doesn't look like he is going to get a third lap in. I think he must have had an incident somewhere out on the track. Dean Ross is coming through to complete one of his laps, and that is a very good lap, in fact, from Dean Ross. A 30.636 puts himself up into 8th.
Yeah, very good lap there. And very good lap from Daniel Towler as well to put himself inside the top 10 too. So it looks like everybody seems to have done all their laps, apart from a few drivers. Reese Gunner being actually one of those drivers is yet to finish their last flying lap, coming through the final corner now. Currently P17. We'll see what Reese can do on his last flying lap. 31.289 he's got to be. Is it going to be quick enough to send him up the order? Yes, it is. Very good lap, actually, to put a P6.
That's a very good lap from Reese Gardner there, and puts himself well and truly inside of that top 10. I think basically the only other driver yet to complete their laps is Hayden Feld, who's on his third lap now. Made an absolute mess of his second lap, was about 4 car lengths off the track as Darren Whittington had an interesting moment. On his lap, Tommy Chun has not set a lap time, but has done 3 attempts, so whatever improvement he finds won't count in the session, unfortunately, as Veld is making his way up towards the corkscrew. I think just being a bit conservative might play him in favour here. Just keeping that car on the track and recording a lap time as he almost loses it, heading down through the corkscrew and then into the final couple of corners. He's been struggling with his car, voicing his disappointment at a lack of practice and the car track combo not to his liking today. Can he put that past him and put himself up into a decent spot that isn't dead last on the grid as he comes out of the final corner? What's it going to be for the Illusion Motorsport, Powered Virtual Motorsport Mentor machine? It's a 131.5, so puts himself up into 18th place, goes for an interesting handbrake turn, and keeps it off the... Nope, in the fence. So, up into 18th for him, he gets a top 20 starting spot, and I think that is everyone now who has completed a lap. What about Will Chen?
I
No,
believe he has done all his laps.
Yeah, he too has completed all of his laps. So let's go to the starting grid. We'll just hold off, actually, for a sec. Nope, we won't. He's gone off track. Martin Houston hadn't completed all 3 of his laps, but he is currently excursioning through the dirt, and qualifying has timed out. So, Harlow starts on pole. Scotty McQueen starts second. Dominic Ferraris third, ahead of Mitch Dean in fourth. Top 5's rounded up by Bailey Sweeney, Reese Gardner, Mitch Martin, Ryan Jarek, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Dean Ross and Thomas Hinds round out the top 10.
Just behind them, Daniel Towell and Martin Turner on row 6. Row 7, Nathan Anderson and Ashley Norman. All right, Jacob Knight and Jason Markowski. Lenny Nobley and Hayden Veld on row 9. And then running out the top 20 on row 10 will be Hamish Cleland and Sam Ross.
21st belongs to Rob Carmichael, ahead of Darren Whittington, 22nd. 23rd is Bruce Ross, and 24th will be Thomas Cool. 25th, Benjamin Dahlia, Ara Felberg, Martin Houston, Cameron Cousins, David Leslie, Martin Spencer round out the top 30. Will Chen and Tommy Santachun start 31st and 32nd. Is it going to be more of the same here for Jackson Susan Harlow, Cam?
Yeah, most certainly will. He's looking at that championship after that previous race. It's awfully tight at the top now, with the lead that Thomason's had is being slightly reduced ever so slightly, but nevertheless, it'll be very interesting to see who does what and whether Harlow can get a good start as well in this race to try and make it a clean sweep in this round.
Well, this should be yet another fantastic addition to the log of races in the first ever season of the Australian Turbo Touring Car iRacing Series. There's still just about 20 seconds left before everyone will be gridded and we can get underway. Track conditions are the same as in race 1, 26 degrees. Nice and grippy out there. Of course, a 20-minute race this time by estimated to be about 14 laps. They have to make a pit stop at some point for a minimum of 2 tyres. Highly doubt that we will see anyone take 4 tyres because it will add a lot of time to the pit stop for not very much of a benefit. As the 2 minutes tick, and it's Harlow versus McQueen on the front row. Dominic Ferreira starts from third. Once again, Mitch Dean from fourth. Green flag in the air, and we are racing for race 2 at Laguna Seca. And a pretty even start for the top 3 as they go 3 wide behind them. As Mitch Martin had a very good start and goes up the middle. As up front, Dominic Ferraris goes to the inside and by Scotty McQueen with relative ease as they all snake their way through turn 1. Who's that off the track? Is that Reese Gardner? I think it is. Gathers it up, rejoins, but loses about 4 spots in the process. And now heading through into turn 4. Dean Ross is also making his way back onto the track after finding the dirt. But they're all through nice and safely.
Yeah, they all made it through the lap one. Well, first few turns anyway, pretty cleanly. Very good start for the likes of Mitch Martins. In fact, both Eclipse cars inside the top 10 at the moment. Dominic Ferraris as well being a very good starter. But at the moment, it's looking like everybody's pretty much line of stern. A couple of drivers looking to make moves and a couple going too wide. But for the most part, everybody's single order.
Scotty McQueen right up on the back of Dominic Ferraris on the approach to the corkscrew, basically pushing him into the corner, but he couldn't find a gap to make the move. And Dominic Ferraris has not let Harlow get away at all. So it's not a comfortable first lap as it was for him last race, where he had almost a 2-second lead. Looked like he faked out to go to the pits then, did Jackson Harlow, trying to make someone dive in. And none of the top 4 did, but someone did. I think that looks like, and it is, Bailey Sweeney comes down to make a pit stop on the first lap, joined too by Reese Gardner, Ashley Norman, and Darren Whittington.
Yeah, obviously a few drivers wanting to get their pit stop out of the way as early as they possibly can, and doing it on lap 1 isn't a bad thing, and it's also allowed as well. So 100% legal there, and we'll be interested to see what happens to them throughout the race with that early stop and whether they're going to end up having too much tyre drop off at the end or whether they're not.
Lenny Nobly has made his way off the circuit and into the garage. We're going to replay up on screen of what happened to him, and he made his way a long way off the circuit. How's he ended up there?
I'd hazard a guess that's probably a pedal failure, and he's put the brake to the floor, and no one's home. I'm actually surprised he's managed to park it right out on the edge of the escape road, actually. So really good parking there, but fortunate into the race for him.
And fortunately, when he came in to brake, he wasn't tucked up right behind someone else, because it would have ruined that race as well. So he becomes the first retiree for the race if he can't get the one back out on track. Jackson Harlow's opened up about 4 car lengths now to Dominic Ferraris, who is coming under increasing pressure from Scotty McQueen as Mitch Dean comes down into pit road and pits from 4th place.
Yeah, another early stopper to join those who did it on lap 1, except doing it 1 lap later. So starting to see more and more drivers doing an early stop, as we've got a replay on the screen of Matthew Spencer, the corkscrew. That's not the best place you want to be at the corkscrew.
No, you generally want to keep that one on the track and out of the tyre bundle. And we'll most likely see these 3 doing this time by. Although if McLean tries a move at the corkscrew, you never know what might happen. He's been looking very, very strong through this part of the circuit, and the corkscrew looks like his best opportunity to overtake, coincidentally. But what about here? Because that's a mistake from Dominic Ferraris. McLean will go to the inside for the kink, should take the spot away, does take it away. Ferraris looks for the crossover, but found nothing at the rear end of Scotty McQueen's machine. He just parked it as he went by him to prevent that from happening. Good heads-up driving from Scotty McQueen there. So he moves himself into second. Can he chase down Jackson, Susan, Harlow? We've got another replay on screen of another incident.
Yeah, David Leslie involved on the exit of turn 2 by the looks of it, coming through turn 2 now, and just seems to lose the rear end. Well, that's very odd. Just almost something you'd see with the rear-wheel drive car, not a front-wheel drive car, but is the move of Dominic Ferraris making the mistake in turn 6 before the kink, before the corkscrew, and just lets Scotty McQueen on by. Not a silly move either to help teams points in the championship, but nevertheless, also, I was actually going to be questioning whether McQueen was going to be pitting that lap or not, but clearly not.
Thomas Hinds, Martin Turner, Rob Carmichael, Thomas Cool, and David Leslie all in the pits at the moment. Hinds, probably the most notable name out of that group of drivers.
Ryan,
he had a very bad qualifying, down in 10th place, and his very slim championship lead may be under threat by the time we leave this one. He needs to find a big improvement in this feature race to hold on to it, because Jackson Harlow is having a blinding round today, and Scotty McQueen is doing just enough to probably switch the lead in his favour in terms of the championship too.
Yeah, most certainly is. And Thomason's has actually come out ahead of Bailey Sweeney.
Oh, Mitch Martin!
Mitch Martin, though, with a really big moment at the kink off the road in a big way, and he's done that on his own too.
Yeah, just caught the dirt on the exit, spun him to the inside, overcorrected, and it fired straight into that outside tyre bundle, which you'll see here on the modem simulation replay. It's so easy to do at this track. You committed so much to that corner. Very easy to miss your braking marker. As we say on the replay with Hayden Vale, that looks very, very messy heading into the kink. As Mitch, oh, he's
It's a
got on.
reverse entry.
Come on, man. He's missed his braking spot, I think, put off by Mitch Martin, and putting himself well and truly off the map in terms of a good race for him. Let's have a look at Downton Whittington and Rob Carmichael as they make their way through the corkscrew.
Yeah, coming through the final sector now with Reese Garner on board now with Reese. They're coming through second to last corner. Also just seeing McQueen leaving pit lane as well, so they haven't lost too much time, but it's a bit of a deficit though that they've got to make up. But Reese really trying to haul in Rob Carmichael at the moment, but just doesn't quite seem to be able to have the exit.
No, it doesn't seem like that at the moment. Is he close enough for a move up the inside here at turn 1? Don't think so. He would have to be a very brave man to make that one work, and he doesn't. So, Thomas Hinds is now right behind Ryan Jerrick, who rejoined right in front of him. They're about 3 seconds off the back of Scotty McQueen. Still waiting for Jackson Harlow to make his pit stop. Not going to happen this time by. If Harlow does the same strategy as he pulled last week, we won't see him in until about the halfway point of the race, which is about a couple minutes time. Dominic Ferraris seems to be shadowing him. This is the battle at the moment for provisionally, I think, P3, as Jarrett goes off the track, and this could allow up the inside Thomas Hinds. He gets to the inside, side by side through the corkscrew. Does it work out for them? Somehow it does. Great racing room being given between the two of them. Great respect being shown. So Jarrett will hold on to that spot for now, but under a lot of pressure. What about the penultimate corner? Doesn't want to make the move there. He's pushing him on the run to the final corner, and Hinds will dive up the inside. Doesn't get much of an overlap, and Ryan Jerrick turned in to the racing line. So close to having his rear end collected by Hinds' machine.
Yeah, Hinsey really trying to give Ryan Jerrick a bit of a hurry up as they've got Bailey Sweeney looming in the background that's not too far away and seems to have a lot of pace. Fastest lap of the race that last time by as well. So Sweeney really starting to use those newer tyres to his advantage with the heat that they've got on them now.
And yeah, so Sweeney's going to be in this battle. Well, he pretty much is in this battle now. If Hinds and Jarrett go side by side again, they'll have to really be careful of the threat that Sweeney will pose from behind. They're currently battling for P10 on track, but once the rest of the field pits, we're still waiting for Harlow, Ferraris, Dean Ross, Cleland, Dahlia, Ross, Felberg, Veld, and they're the only drivers yet to make a pit stop, the top 8. A few of which should rejoin in front of this little group, as the 666 Cam has been given a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, unfortunate for the driver of, I believe that is
Leslie.
David Leslie. So unfortunate there for an incident early on, and he's a lap down already as well, possibly caught up in something earlier. So not really too much of a loss there, but nevertheless still a penalty at the end of the day.
Oh, Sweeney, ever the optimist. What a move that was. Up the inside of Thomas Hinds, puts himself now in behind Ryan Jerrick, and 8th on the track. That was a very, very good move.
It was very late, but very well done. Hinsey managing to just see him coming at the right time and managed to give him enough room. It was a very, very late move, but very well pulled off.
And can Sweeney now have a go at Ryan Jerrick? He's certainly looking like the better driver of the 3 in this battle at the moment. He's got the pace over them all, as Ryan Jarrett just doesn't seem to be able to get away from them. He's not quite got that outright pace. Certainly with no one in front of him to chase. We often see drivers perform better when they're chasing someone. Just having that driver to use as a reference point sometimes can aid you a little bit in lap time. Maybe Jarrett could aid from that at the moment, because Sweeney is all over the back of him, and Jarrett's going to go defensive into the corkscrew and almost turned back across the front of Bailey Sweeney's machine there. Luckily, no contact made. They just about survive, and Sweeney is right there. Is it going to be a lunge at the final corner once again? What about the penultimate corner? He almost had the overlap, gets a bit of airtime. 2 wheels up in the air as he made his way through that corner up and over the sausage curve. Thomas Hinds was close enough to have a lunge. He had to go defensive, and now he's going to bump draft him down the main straight, and Sweeney's gone from attack to defense mode in the space of about 2 corners. That's how close this racing is.
Yeah, that hop over the curb at the second to last corner really didn't help the momentum at all. And now Hinsey's going to be trying to go round the outside, but not quite going to be close enough to have a go at the next corner. So stay put for the time being. But that's how easy it can go from it being going well to nearly losing a position or two just by making that small of a mistake like Sweeney showed.
Jackson Susan Harlow has pulled the trigger on his pit stop with 8 minutes remaining in this race. That's about 5 laps or so. Barring disaster in this pit stop, should rejoin in the lead of the race. Although Dominic Ferraris has carried on for another couple of laps, so won't quite be the race lead yet. But I wonder when Ferraris is going to pit, whether he's going to go for that ultra long strategy here and maybe pit on the penultimate lap of the race.
Yeah, you do have to wonder, and just comparing his teammates' time of Bailey Sweeney. Sweeney was doing mid to low 30s, whereas Ferraris is doing at the moment, he is doing about the same sort of pace. So they're kind of matching each other for pace at the moment, despite the fact that Bailey Sweeney is being held up in a little bit of traffic here. But there's clearly no lack of pace. And then you compare it to the likes of Harlow, who's been doing roughly high 29s to low 30s.
Yeah, and he's rejoined a long way in front of Scotty McQueen, who's making his way through turn 2 now as Harlow goes through turn 3. So a big gap for him there as Ryan Jarrett is side by side with Bailey Sweeney. Thomas Hinds trying to get by as well. Will follow Sweeney through on the inside. Just enough racing room given on the exit of turn 3. And Hinds moves himself up into P number 8. And Bailey Sweeney is now at the head of this train of cars as Hinds goes defensive as Jarrett trying to get the spot back. Can he find the crossover on the exit of turn 4 or turn 5? No, he can't. And he'll have to sit back and wait a couple more corners at least. Dean Ross now is starting to get ever closer to this group as well.
Yeah, if these three keep fighting as hard as they have been for the past few laps, Dean Ross will be in a prime position to just sit there and go, thanks, boys. I'll see you all later.
Yeah, certainly looking like Dean Ross could be the beneficiary out of all of this, as Dominic Ferraris has come down into the pit lane, so not going to wait till the latest possible point in time. Where's Harlow? Harlow's making his way just by him now, and that will be another sizable lead for Harlow. Where's Scotty McQueen compared to Dominic Ferraris? That could be pretty close, although I think with that massively shortcut. Oh, Ferraris got a bit of the dirt there coming out of pit exit, and that has lost him probably about 2 or so seconds. And Scotty McQueen, he's on the fresh tyres, the warm tyres. Ferraris has got to get his up to temperature. If McQueen doesn't make a mistake, he could pull himself onto the back of Ferraris here.
Yeah, he most certainly could, and it'll be close to see what happens here because of that cold tyre. So really it's gonna be close, but I think for us might just be able to hold on.
Yeah, I think he's just about got enough of a gap. He's just got away with that mishap on pit exit. It's a really tough pit exit here at Laguna Seca. Lined with dirt either side. It's only just about a car's width wide, and it's basically a very elongated hairpin. So it's very tricky to get right. You're coming into there with a lot of speed too. So a big braking zone, and as Farrar showed. Very easy to mischarge as Hamish Cleland comes down into pit lane. Ira Felberg will continue, and Ira will be the only person yet to make a pit stop in this race, but he will presume the race lead for now.
Indeed, he will. And like we said, only person to not yet make a pit stop. He probably will do it on the last lap, I reckon. If not this lap, there's not a lot long left in this race, so he's gonna have to do it at some point.
Yeah, it would it would probably be this lap for Ira Felberg, I do suspect. Probably only get 1 or 2 laps after that. He could probably go 1 more lap, but where he rejoins will probably be around Mitch Martin Turner, 14th, 15th. Now let's go to Reece Gardner and Ashley Norman in their battle for P11. Norman on the defense here as Gardner trying to make up some lost ground. Started this one from 6th. Is all the way back in 12th place now. He's not had a particularly strong race here.
Yeah, he obviously had that moment at the start where he lost a handful of positions, so he's been on a bit of a recovery mission, has Reece, in this race after losing a few places and ending up with a bit of argy-bargy at the start, but he's doing quite well for himself at the moment after starting at 6th and ending up where he did, so at the moment it's looking like he might just be able to get the move done on Ashley Norman to get into the corkscrew. No, he won't. He'll sit behind for the time being as they both go defensive.
Gardner is looking very hungry here to get into that 11th place spot in this race. He's certainly looking like he's got the faster car out of the two of these drivers, but whether he can utilize that is completely different because, of course, we all know that old saying, it's catching someone is one story, passing them is a whole other story, especially late in the race when Norman's going to be very much inclined to take that defensive route.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be every man for himself between these two come these last few laps. There's only 2 laps to go, or 3 laps actually to go this time by, so not long left in this race as we've got teammates side by side.
Darren Whittington on the inside of Tommy Sontochon heading in to the Andretti hairpin. Last of the late breakers going to be Darren Whittington. Almost lost the rear through the corner. Gets a bit of a tap from Sontochon, his teammate, right on the apex of turn 2. They get away with it. But the teammates not playing particularly nice.
Yeah, probably fair to say no team orders in that team, but Reece has got a run on Ashley Norman here as they head up towards the kink, but decides better of it to sit behind and try get a run out of the kink and up towards the corkscrew as Norman makes a mistake running a little bit wide. Now Reece going to look to the inside of the corkscrew, side by side up to the top of the rise. Now Reece is just going to manage to get the position.
That was the road version of a slide job from Reece Gardner there. Sliding that one in, just about got it pulled up. The white flag flies for Jackson Susan Harlow as well. Ara Felberg finally comes down to make his pit stop as Harlow makes his way through the Andretti hairpin now. As Thomas Hinds is right there on Bailey Sweeney. The battle for P4 not over with yet. Sweeney's going to have to be careful on this lap to not lose a spot to Hinds. Hinds needs a spot. It's coming down to the wire in terms of the championship. I don't think he's going to walk away from this round with the lead any more than he's had since round 1. Can he claw at least a couple points back here as Sweeney goes defensive into turn number 4. And now in the run to turn 5, he's going to have to go ultra defensive here, and he does. And Hinds is going to have to go the long way round. How late is he on the brakes? Almost completely alongside him on entry, but can't find the run by him as Ryan Jarrett joins the battle too. Sweeney just trying to unnerve Hinds from having a look at the kink. You wouldn't want to try it anyway. What about a look at the corkscrew? Can he repeat the heroics that Reece Gardner pulled off last time by through here? No, he can't. Lifts off, thinks better of it. Ryan Jarrett tries to shove his nose up the inside. Can't get alongside Hinds enough to make the move stick as they head through the final couple of corners now. They're 10 seconds off the race lead, but they're fighting as hard as they possibly can. Jackson Susan Harlow, another lights to flag victory out front, takes out race 2 of round 4. And side by side in the background on the start-finish line, Bailey Sweeney will hold on to P4 and Thomas Hens will have to settle for P5.
Yeah, not quite enough in the end for Hinsey, unfortunately. So we'll have to settle for the position in the end. Reese Gardner also managing to hold on to that top 10 finish as well. So good drive by Reese to recover what he lost at the start of the race. And seems everybody else has sorted themselves out by the looks of it.
To the podium. If you guys can make your way to the Simspeed broadcast for
Yeah,
interviews.
I think
Jackson,
everyone, there's
Dominic,
no
and Scotty
real
McQueen.
battles still
Really
happening
good
as they
racing there,
come
guys.
across the line. The rest of the drivers
clean.
are all in
Good to see
single
the
file
racing's getting
formation.
better and better each week.
Martin Houston is side by side with a lapped car. And that's pretty much it here for round 4 then. And Jackson Harlow did exactly what he needed to do
Bailey. It's noted.
in the championship picture. He needed to come here and sweep the rounds, and that's what he's done. That 16-point buffer is going to look a lot closer when we head into the next round of the championship. Let's look at the results. Harlow by 5 seconds this time over Dominic Ferraris. Scotty McQueen third, ahead of Bailey Sweeney and Thomas Hins in fourth and fifth. Ryan Jarrett home in sixth, ahead of Dean Ross in seventh. Daniel Tull came home in eighth, and the top 10 was rounded out by Nathan Anderson and Reese Gardner.
Let me go back to Ashley Norman and Mitch Martin just outside the top 10 in 11th and 12th, 13th and 14th. Martin Turner and Jason Markowski, followed by Hamish Cleland, rounding out the top 15, 16th and 17th. Tommy Sonderchun, Darren Whittington, the two teammates. And then we go back to Jacob Knight in 18th, Thomas Cool in 19th, and Bruce Ross rounding out the top 20.
21st was Ira Felberg. Rob Carmichael started this one from 22nd. Martin Houston, 23rd. Benjamin Dahlia started from 24th. Will Chen, 25th. Cameron Cousins, Sam Ross, 26th and 27th. Matthew Spencer, 28th. Top 30 rounded up by David Leslie and Hayden Veld. 2 retirements and 2 races for him. Mitch Dean, 31st. Glennie Nobly never took the start, finishing in 32nd. And no, he did take the start, excuse me. He had that incident, didn't he? Finished 12 laps down in the end. And, well, I guess we're doing this again. Hello again, Jackson Harlow. It's too easy for you tonight. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a lot better than last week. So yeah, really happy with tonight. Nothing could have gone better. So yeah, really happy.
Oh, it was pretty much a case of no one out there challenging you at all at this track. Is it a particularly strong track for you? Did you put more preparation in? What's the reason for your dominance to this round?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I always seem to go good at Laguna, and yeah, last season when the car first come out, I got to drive this track a fair bit. So yeah, I guess it was good turning up to a track with like I know I had a good setup and yeah, just knew where to brake and all the different things that come into it. So yeah, really happy with tonight, and yeah, we'll see how we go at Bathurst, I guess.
So, last round I asked you about the championship. You said it's probably gone. You've come here and swept the round. A bit more positive about the championship, considering Hins didn't have the best of races. You outpaced Scotty McQueen in both races today. I think that gap's probably going to be down to about 10 points heading into the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, yeah, like I said before, I haven't really been worrying about the championship after I got those 2 penalties, which really hurt me a lot. I haven't really been worrying about it, so just been trying to go out and have some fun, see if I can come away with a few wins. So yeah, we'll see what happens. If I'm coming into the last round close in the championship fight and like a couple of points off, obviously I'll go for it and do everything I can to win it. But at the moment, I'll go into Bathurst same way I did this race. Just go in and try and win both races. Try and yeah, try and get as far away from everyone as possible, I guess.
Hey, maybe that's the key. Just don't worry about the championship until you really need to at the final round. It seems to be working well for you. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to in the sponsors?
Yeah, just Logitech G, the Chiefs, Astro Gaming, Modem Simulation, and Cube Controls, and obviously Altus. All them guys play a massive part. So yeah, thank you to them.
Well, thank you for joining us up here in the booth, Jackson. Look forward to seeing you next time. And we will talk to Scotty McQueen, who is standing by with Cameron Dance.
Well, top 5 in race 1 and then podium in race 3. Scotty, pretty solid night for you, but probably not as optimal as you probably would have wanted.
Oh, I was actually better than I expected to do at Laguna. I was really surprised, especially qualifying in the second race. That was probably the best lap I've ever done around Laguna Seca.
Well, certainly reasonable result then. You're clearly happy with the 2 races so far, with not too long in the championship and sitting in a pretty prime position now after Thompson's not having it the best night of running. You looking pretty hopeful for the championship with 2 rounds to go?
Yeah, I think it's gonna shape up to be a really good battle in these last two rounds. Everyone should be pretty equal at the Aussie tracks, I would imagine. So it'll just be about who gets a good run and who can stay in front and defend. It should be really good.
Yeah, most certainly will be. And with Bathurst being the next track, are you sort of looking forward to it? Are you hoping that there might be some form of drama that might happen or expecting drama?
I'm hoping it'll be a good race. I think the draft will sort of neutralize a lot of people as well down Conrod. So I think it should make it really interesting. There might be a few more people in the mix.
Well, there you have it. Just Floyd, let you go. Any quick shout outs you want to give?
Oh, just Ira again for putting on the series. It's great fun. It's awesome time. And I like the time of it as well. It's really good for us Kiwis.
Yeah, most certainly is. So there you have it, Ryan. Your P3 in race 2 will go to Dominic Ferraris next.
Yeah, let's grab Dominic Ferraris up here into the booth. It was a tale of almost 2 different races for you today. 8th in race 1, 2nd in race 2. Congratulations on the feature race podium. What was the difference between those 2 races?
One pesky little slowdown at the corkscrew.
Yeah, we saw you slow on that first lap. Suspected it was a slowdown. Any particular reason that you sort of made that mistake on that first lap? Obviously, sometimes we're being a little bit aggressive or a little bit cautious. Were you helped into it, or was it just a simple mistake?
No, I just drove. I drove the car with the car that just didn't have the grip on that first lap and overshot the corner. And yeah, pretty simple mistake, which was disappointing because I thought could have been on the podium or somewhere near it in that first race if I hadn't have made that mistake.
Oh, nonetheless, I think you recovered pretty well in that second race to come away with second. Jackson Harlow just seemed to have that edge over anyone else today. Do you feel like you left anything out there on the table today, or was he just too good?
Jackson is really talented in these cars. Preparation wasn't the best it could have been. However, yeah, with the amount of work I put in, I'm pretty happy with that result. Just consolidating my team's P1 in the championship, which is the overall goal for me and Bailey.
So, talking of that championship, obviously another good round for you guys, teams championship wise. In terms of the drivers championship, coming in here, you were sat third. Hins didn't have a particularly great round. Harlow had a fantastic round, as we both know. Scotty McQueen probably about the same takeaway in points as you. So coming into the last 2 rounds, it's shaping up to be a very, very tight 4-way battle, maybe even 5-way battle with Bailey Sweeney. 6-way, Mitch Martin too. Look, it's a ridiculously close battle. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, with the way the point structures work, it's really important that you're maximizing every race. Obviously, it's a very different system to what I'm used to, and one bad race and you're done. I mean, I think Bailey's shown some really good pace. However, he had a few bad races towards the start of the championship, and he's making up for lost ground now, which is finding really tough because he has to be on top of it. But in terms of my goal, I think finishing in the top 3 would be cool. I'm really focusing on that team's championship because I know Bailey really enjoys driving this car, so I really want to be here to support him.
Well, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job out there. Looking forward to seeing what you guys can do in the final 2 rounds of the championship before we let you go. Anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just like to give firstly a shout out to Bailey. He did a lot of the work on the setup this week. All my other teammates at Prolograc Esports and our partners, Cube Controls and Alexander Luritzen Coaching.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much for joining us up here in the booth. Look forward to hopefully talking to you next time. So that was the last of our interviews today. What are your final thoughts before we wrap this one up, Cam?
2 rounds left. Championship is almightily close at the moment after this round. So, yeah, it's going to be game on at Bathurst and Phillip Island. It's really going to be all about finishing races, scoring points, and not making any errors for those top 5, if not top 10.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. If it's anything like the first 4 rounds, the last 2 rounds, I don't doubt going to be some brilliant racing at 2 brilliant racetracks too. Mount Panorama and Phillip Island should be some good stuff coming up for the last 2 rounds of the series before season 2 gets underway in the near future. Thank you to the sponsors, Simfinity and RMS Race Management Service, for their support. Thank you to RF Felberg for his work behind the scenes. And thank you to all the drivers and competitors for turning up each and every week, putting on a fantastic show for us up here in the booth, making our life nice and easy. We look forward to the future. For Simspeed TV on Friday night, we go short track racing at the Coliseum of NASCAR Bristol Motor Speedway, hosts the Xfinity Series for that Friday night Strength of Field event. And then on Saturday, it's a double header. The major series goes to Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona 500, and then the Porsche Super Cup on Saturday night, and plenty more to come on Simspeed TV all week long and into the following months. But from myself, Ryan Jones, from Cameron Dant alongside me, from Jay Kennedy in the director's chair as well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you enjoyed it, give us a like. If you didn't, give us a like, and we will see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got really outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?